guys, it is Evan here from Evan Sports Corner, and I'm back with another video here on the channel. Today, I'm going to be rating my fantasy football team that I drafted in my fantasy football league, my 14-team fantasy league that I do with my friends and family every year. It's my 4th year doing fantasy football. It's a lot of fun, and my team this year it's not doing too well. We're all right, 6-6, currently sitting outside the 18th playoff. And today I'm going to be rating my fantasy team, talking about some of my better draft picks and some of my worst draft picks. And yeah, it should be an interesting video. But before we hop in the video, remember to leave a like if you enjoy, subscribe to the channel if you are new, so now I more sports content like this, and let's hop right into the video. So coming into the fantasy season, as many people, I felt confident in my team. I thought I was going to have a really good season. Yahoo was hyping me up over here, saying that I was going to be 13-1, gave me an A- draft grade, said I had an incredible backfield. I was going to finish first in my league and score over 2,000 points. And that has not happened at all. In fact, my team has been kind of mediocre. In my league, 14 teams, so we kind of have, there are like 4 different categories for your team. The elite teams, then there's the playoff teams, then there's the mediocre teams, and then there's the trash teams. And I'm one of the mediocre teams, currently sitting at 12th, but I could still make the playoffs potentially, but my team is not looking too good right now. And let's just go through the draft. So the draft was pretty decent for me. I was pretty confident in my team. With the first round pick, which was the 3rd overall pick in the draft, I selected Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, that decision has not panned out too well for me. McCaffrey has missed most of the season with a bunch of different injuries, and that has kind of screwed my team over because when McCaffrey's healthy, he's one of the best players in fantasy. He can catch the ball, he can run for a lot of yards. He's the vocal point of the Panthers offense. The Panthers have had a dysfunctional offense, and McCaffrey has been injured a ton this year. So I probably shouldn't have drafted Christian McCaffrey. My team name at the beginning of the year was the Dallas Cowgirls, but now my team is the Team of Glass because I've had a lot of injuries, and so my team is literally made of glass, especially Christian McCaffrey. So yeah, with the 3rd overall pick, drafting a running back who hasn't been able to stay on the field and his offense has been crazy inconsistent, not a recipe for success for a 3rd overall pick. So McCaffrey has been a bust. The 2nd round pick I had was A.J. Brown. I ended up trading A.J. Brown for DJ Moore earlier in the season because A.J. Brown was dealing with a nagging hamstring injury, and I was worried he was going to continue to be struggling. The next 2 games, A.J. Brown went out and went off. Had 27 points one week, 31 the next week. I was regretting the trade for DJ Moore. And then A.J. Brown got hurt again. The injuries caught up to him. A.J. Brown, I drafted him because he's a really good receiver. Thought he was going to have a great season alongside Julio Jones in the Titans offense. He did all right for me. He did much better when I traded him. I don't know. It was an all right trade. A.J. Brown was a decent draft pick. He didn't really do much for me. My 3rd round pick, I selected David Montgomery, who's actually been productive for me, but unfortunately, he missed a month of the season with an injury. And unfortunately for me, he got injured at the same time as Christian McCaffrey. So I didn't have either of my running backs for an entire month. And in a 14-team league, the running back options on the waiver wire are not the best. So I had a few rough weeks in there without Christian McCaffrey and David Montgomery. It was really difficult. But now I'm on a 3-game win streak. I'm doing better since they've come back. But with McCaffrey being shut down for the season, it's not looking great. David Montgomery, healthy. He's been all right. You know, he hasn't been amazing since he's come back from injury, but he hasn't been bad either. He's just been a kind of solid running back. And for the 3rd round, you could get way worse. With my 4th round pick, I selected my man Dak Prescott. As a Cowboys fan, I had to get one of them on the team, and I got Dak, and he has been great. The best player on my team, no doubt. Dak is one of the best players in fantasy. He's been crazy consistent for me this year. 20 plus points almost every single week. He's only had like 2 weeks where he hasn't played well. So Dak has been great for me. He passes for a lot of yards, throws a lot of touchdowns. He's been a great fantasy quarterback for me this year, and one of the only players on my team who's actually been consistent and healthy. My 5th round pick, I selected Mike Davis, and this was a terrible draft pick. Mike Davis has completely lost his starting job to Cordero Patterson. I did end up trading Mike Davis at some point, but yeah, Mike Davis, I was really hoping that he was going to be a good running back this year in Atlanta. I saw how well he did last season backing up Christian McCaffrey. I was hoping he was going to take the spot in Atlanta, but the emergence of Cordero Patterson has sent Mike Davis down to being the 2nd running back and not getting many carries, so I traded him away. He was not a good draft pick. My 6th round pick, I selected Odell Beckham Jr., and he did not do well when he was on my team. I ended up dropping Odell after he became a free agent because Odell was garbage. Odell did absolutely nothing for me. He was just not good. He started the season injured, and he just played like trash throughout the season. He's starting to do a little better now at the Rams, but when he was on the Browns, when I had him, he did nothing. My 7th round pick, I selected Packers tight end Robert Tonyan. Tonyan was not very good for me. He had some really bad weeks where he scored like 1 point. He would make like 1 catch per week. He had a couple weeks where he scored a touchdown. But other than that, Robert Tonyan was not a good tight end, and that is why Austin Hooper as my tight end. I picked him up off the waiver wire. And Robert Tonyan has not been good. I ended up cutting Robert Tonyan before he tore his ACL. And after he tore his ACL, obviously there was no point in having him anyway, but I dropped him before he tore his ACL because of how bad he was performing. And with my 8th round pick, I actually got Courtland Sutton, who has been really good this season. He's been pretty consistent, getting like 8 points per week, although he's had a couple big weeks where he's had 20 plus points. He's been a solid pickup, and you can get a lot worse in the 8th round of the draft in a 14-team league, so I'm pretty happy with taking Courtland Sutton in the 8th round. In the 9th round, I took Harrison Butker. Not much to be said about this pick. He's a kicker. I wanted to get a kicker who played for a high-scoring offense like Kansas City's. He would get a lot of PATs. That's why I took Harrison Butker. The 10th round, I took Cleveland's defense because I thought Cleveland was going to have a pretty good defense. They got Myles Garrett, and I think that they're still my defense. I'm not sure, but Cleveland, they're solid. So I just thought maybe they have some playmakers over there. Maybe they'll be a solid defense. In the 11th round, I took Jarvis Landry, which was actually a really good pickup. When he hasn't been injured, he's actually been really solid. Now he's the #1 receiver in Cleveland. Now, unfortunately, they are a very run-heavy attack, and Baker's been crazy inconsistent this year. But Jarvis Landry hasn't been that bad for me. I usually use him as a flex or starting receiver. Hasn't been bad this season for me at all. Pretty good pick for the 11th round. In the 12th round, I took Justin Fields. He didn't really do much. I haven't started him a single week this season because Dak has been the quarterback. In the 13th round, I actually took Devontae Parker because Devontae Parker looked pretty solid. Parker hasn't been bad at all. He's actually been pretty good. He did get hurt, though, for the season, so I ended up dropping him. But he was pretty decent for me when I had him. And I actually made a couple trades. I talked about the DJ Moore for A.J. Brown trade, and I actually made one really good trade. I traded the Ravens' backup running back Tyson Williams, who at the time was the starter before they got Latavius Murray and Devontae Freeman, and I ended up getting Jalen Waddle in return, and Jalen Waddle has been an absolute stud for me, so I'm very happy about that trade. But my friend shouldn't be too upset because he is in the playoffs and I'm not, but still, I feel pretty good about getting Jalen Waddle in that trade. But yeah, overall this season, I'm currently 6-6 on a 3-game win streak, so hopefully I can end the season on a 5-game win streak, try to make the playoffs at 8-6. We'll see what happens. But yeah, certainly did not live up to the expectations that the Yahoo Fantasy had for me at the beginning of the season. So yeah, we'll just see how I do the rest of the season. Hopefully I can bounce back next season, have a better team. Overall, I'd give my draft grade a C-. I made some dumb picks like taking Christian McCaffrey, Odell, and Mike Davis. And some of the things like David Montgomery getting hurt, I couldn't really control. But I feel like I had an alright draft, and we'll see if I can make the playoffs. But I kinda had an average, below average draft. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoy. Remember to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, so not miss more sports content like this. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.